we are going to start taking a look at new things again. But I thought, with my first return, what better way to come back than with the PlayStation. The PlayStation, generating a big, old, good generation of edgy, non-stop goodness for every early 2000s kid. But I gotta address what's happening today. Today we're going to take a look at a mistake I made last time. I suggested that we finished the Angry Video Nerd anthology. You know, my retrospective on everything he's made. But, well, if you weren't paying attention, he has announced a new video game coming out, Angry Video Nerd 8-bit, which does look pretty cool, which reminded me I totally forgot about the AVGN adventure games. So today, yes, I'm going to play through it, and we're going to talk through the Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures Remastered 1 and 2. So, let's boot this game up and see how it is. So my thoughts on this Angry Video Nerd game. I remember years ago when this game first came out and I was losing my shit excited. Like, genuinely, when this came out, I was looking everywhere to try to find a way to get it. But me being a PlayStation gamer at the time, and it was released at first only for Nintendo, I had no hope on this besides getting it for my 3DS. But at the time, I just got a PS Vita, and I preferred the PS Vita just way more as a portable console, and it would not come out on there, so I was steamed for the rest of that year. However, until finally, last summer, due to my luck, the 1-2 Remastered Collection was put on sale, no joke, for $3 on the PlayStation Store. So I picked it up with my leftover change, and I got to work beating it. And let me tell you, the first game, Angry Video Nerd Adventures isn't a bad game. I actually, at first, am having fun with it. I love the details, and even the new additions, like the blood bears instead of the unicorn in the original cut, are much more preferred changes. I like this attention to detail and trying to connect as hard as you can everything to every aspect of the Angry Video Nerd universe. Mike did a good job at that department. But then we run into a few problems. The further I got into the game, the more I realized two things. One, the bosses are unbearable. Every single boss is just some annoying character that either just kills you immediately in one hit or two hits, and you have to either play the most really focused game of dodging possible, or you have to just spam them with the strongest character you have and just hope he dies quick. In my case, the way to do that was to just be bullshit man and just shoot my turds at him as hard as I could over and over, because he does the most damage out of anybody in the team. So when it comes to the boss department, the bosses are horrible. I think each boss is done horribly and they don't feel balanced at all. The game genuinely shocked me how short it felt. It literally is just a few levels, then you go home. And it was a bit disappointing by the end of it. But the things I do like, I love having multiple playable characters. I loved playing as Guitar Guy, I loved playing as Mike Vite, I loved playing as Bullshit Man. Adding these extra additions made the game more addictive than what it was. And the worlds, oh my god, the worlds. The worlds were also so well done. I love each and every one of them. They're so beautifully put together. Maybe it's this remaster that made them look better than they already are, but they really come out nice. The soundtrack is also good. The soundtrack plays so well. It reminds me of how good the DuckTales soundtrack is, for example. That one also rocks. I mean, the fact that he went so far in detail that he even made his banned episode of Angry Video Nerd Atari Porn. Oh, I'm sorry, Atari Pork. God, I really hate that censor re-edit. One of the worlds of the game is so great. I mean, I've always wanted to play a world where you do nothing but walk through loads and loads of semen. So yeah, overall, for the very first Angry Video Nerd video game, really well done. I don't mind it. I think it's solid. It could get really annoying in places, but besides that, it's a solid game. I really thoroughly enjoyed this. But then we get into the sequel, Assimilation, the Anal Link. AVGN Adventures 2, Assimilation. Alright, yeah, it was at this point the magic of Angry Video getting his own game started to wear on me. This game isn't horrible by any means. I actually think it improved a lot on what they did. I love that instead of just beat 5 worlds with a boss and that's it, the game's over, they made it an actual world with multiple levels that lead to a boss, and each level opened up the world more and more. But there were a few other things that made it disappointing to me. First off, the elephant in the room. Why the hell was this changed? I played the remastered edition, but I did see videos on the original, and the original was meant to be a parody making fun of movie tie-in games. And you know what? I love that idea. I love that it was a parody on, hey, this is just Angry Birds the movie as a tie-in game, and it's us making fun of the culture of movie tie-in games. That was actually great. But for some reason, he just, when it came time for this remaster, just any mention of the movie at all, just cut it out entirely. I mean, even hell, even Nostalgia Critic got cut out, which I don't even know what that was about. I don't know what he did to you. Which, I mean, why? This just comes across and this fuels people's theories that you genuinely hate your own movie that much. Doing this weird swipe really sends the wrong message saying that you're admitting your movie is that. I'm not saying it fully is, but it raises questions, you know? Anyways, I love how it opens up the world. I love that it's an actual Mario style game with open hub worlds and stuff. I loved the board games world in the game. I loved going through a world made out of board games and toys. I loved the last few bosses at the end. But the only other thing I could say that I didn't like was bosses, like usual, were bullshit to beat and very hard to do. And on top of that, instead of having other playable characters this time, which I really enjoyed in the first game, that has been scrapped immediately to instead just get upgrades to attach to James's body. Which, not a bad detail, this is based on how he was dressed when he fought Rob the Robot in the 100th episode special, so I like the idea they're going for. It's not as fun as getting to pick and play through a whole roster of characters we've come to know and love throughout the series. They're finished. Overall, a few things here and there that are vastly impressive. I love that it's opened more like a Mario game with a map system and more levels that lead to a boss that you can do instead of just one-offs like the first game. And, I don't know, a part of me still wishes it was the movie licensed joke game like it used to be. Now I know there's one more. If you beat the first two games, you unlock a bonus mini third game, which is just a pun. You unlock a third game just to bring back fan villain favorite, the bunny, that bastard bunny. And it mostly exists just to be another Castlevania parody. Literally, the entire thing just feels like you're playing through one giant castle to get to the top and beat Bugs Bunny. Which I get it, that's the point. James is a huge, huge Castlevania fan, so I respect it. But dear lord, is it hard. This game here is just almost impossible. You have to be picture perfect. You're not making it. I was able to beat it, but that mostly came from me abusing the hit detection system where after you get hit, you can still keep going for a bit. I had to abuse that left and right to beat it, and honestly, it's not worth it. It's a fun extra bonus for true fans who went through the first two games, so I'm not saying it's a bad addition. It's just, I could say you could skip it. And that were the first two ever Angry Billionaire video games ever made. They're not completely horrible. I will admit, by the time I finished beating them, I just felt drained and a bit steamed at them. These games genuinely feel like, due to how short of a game they are, you could literally beat the first game in like 2 hours tops, or even less depending on your skill. The fact that these games were made so simple and short is the reason why it seems like to make up for that, they made them very hard games. They make them infuriatingly hard. By the time I finally beat the bonus castle, I was losing my shit. And yes, real funny pun, I know the whole point was that it was based on the Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle games, but it just felt like an extra rager to go with your already rage Sunday. It's a really hard game, and there's nothing wrong with challenge. Some people prefer it, like the people who like Dark Souls, and some people don't. It's a frame of preference. But this one feels like it over the top does it. You can literally just touch and die from almost everything if you're not careful. So, I would have to give it around right in the middle, just an okay rating. If it was out of 10, it would be a 5 out of 10 straight out. I don't think they're bad games, I just think you could have done way more with this premise. But who knows, the new Angry Birds game is coming out, and with the added on detail of it being an 8-bit game that will actually for a limited time be sold on cartridge, no joke, it looks better than these ones. It looks like there'll be more to do in it, more detail, and what we should have got from the start. Now I know what you're waiting for. I know. You're expecting that this is going to end with me looking over at Angry Birds over there, and you're going to see me go, oh, it's now the finale. I finally finished the retrospective. And then he's going to blow up right there. No, there was still one piece to this missing. Oh yeah, there's still one video left in this AVGN Retrospective. And I came to realize that that is why he exploded. Because I did this wrong. This isn't about hate or trying to destroy this, like I told you before, important figure in my life that inspired much of what I like to do today. No. This is going to lead to something else besides an 8-bit explosion. So join me next time, or maybe the other time, where I am going to finish off this AVGN Retrospective. Hope I'll see you there. And you know what? It's good to be back.